All right, welcome back. So, picking up where we left off, this is not quite where we left off, but basically the last video I walked away from the waterfront to go down to Delancey to try to find a Boost Mobile store, you may remember. And eventually I found one. Took a while for me to actually get what I needed to get done, but now it's done. And now I'm going back to the waterfront, and it's gonna actually be a little bit like before. There's a little overlap or a little redo because of the geography of where the Boost Mobile store ended up being, but that's fine. That's fine and good. The only question is, are we gonna have enough light to finish our adventure, or are we gonna run out of light and it's gonna be too dark to see what the heck's going on? I think I'm just gonna finish anyway, and then, you know, if the footage isn't usable, then I'll redo it, like, biggie deal. The Boost Mobile store experience was extremely annoying because I just needed to get a new SIM card, and it was like a 10-minute hemming and hawing about it, and like 3 different attempts to upsell me on a new phone or some new offer or whatever. I just want to get a fucking new SIM card. That's it. Just give me the SIM card. It's a 30-second transaction. Very annoying. But anyway, what's done is done, and that's really my fault because I'm the one who lost the SIM card in the first place. So if I had been more mindful on my trip to Sweden and not lost the SIM card, I wouldn't have had to go through this frustrating and annoying experience. Breathe easy. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. I can't go on this private property, apparently, and there's very big scary signs that says private property. You will be prosecuted to the full, you know. Okay, fair enough. You got your private property house. I won't go on your private property if you're so important to you, buddy. Little buddy is so important to you. Oh my goodness. That's not a bad building, 275 South. Could do worse. Well, you know, that's the thing, it's just, I'm just a sucker for balconies, first of all, and also stone and cement. I just don't like brick. I'm not a fan of red brick. Whether we're talking mid-rise buildings, or we're talking townhouses, whatever size buildings we're talking about, basically I'm always going to prefer stone, wood, cement, glass, metal, anything except brick. Brick's like my least favorite building material of all. I think, actually, really, I'm just realizing this now, but I think it's really true. This is the problem with moving to a place like Philadelphia. Many advantages, but also so much of what I see of like pics of Philadelphia, videos of Philadelphia is like brick. Walking around. I did some walking around there on Google Maps a bunch actually, because there was a point last year when I was moderately seriously considering moving there, because, you know, they have a couple of casinos right in the heart of the city that are decent casinos. They have some, like, you know, decent regular tournament action. Every weekend there's like a $200 tournament. So and it's cheap. You can get a decent one. It seems like you can get a decent one-bedroom apartment kind of near the center of town in this nice sweet spot between the two casinos for like really like $1,200 or something. Maybe even, I have a Facebook friend who I asked her how much she pays. She lives in Philadelphia, and she says she pays like, I think she has a 2-bedroom, she pays under $1,000. Now, maybe she lives a little bit further out or something, but you know, I don't mind. I would do that too. Obviously, I don't mind running around or biking places, so. Yeah, so, I don't know. It's an option for the future. For sure. One of several. Reno is another option. Vegas. Chicago. LA. And New Orleans. But the thing is, none of those places have the Marshall Chess Club or anything close to it or anything remotely like it. I mean, like no place does. I know, you know, people like to talk about how the St. Louis Chess Club is, or the Charlotte Chess Center, those places are a big deal. They are a big deal. They have major tournaments. But in terms of like weekly activity for members and average strength of players, I mean, man, Chess Club, Marshall Chess Club is supreme. I've talked about this before. So anyway, I just feel like I have unfinished business here in New York. I haven't done my loops of all the boroughs. I haven't made master while playing at the Marshall Chess Club. You know, I like to do those two things at least before I move somewhere else, because anywhere else is going to be way harder to This is the park where I got scared of the dog, so you might recognize it. It's just gonna be way harder to get in the volume of over-the-board play that's gonna allow me, to get the experience and the rating points I need to meet my goals. I can easily play 20 or more games a month at the Marshall, and very conveniently, because I live like probably under half an hour to a door-to-door. That's funny, actually. I think it's the same dog. He's going on another walk maybe with his dog. All right, so I need to run kind of to where Tompkins Square Park is, roughly. I don't really exactly know where that is, but I have some idea. Oh yeah, I seem to remember now. There was, I think, a dude doing karate in the empty basketball court as I was coming onto the East River Parkway. So, provided he's always there, that he's like a permanent fixture, which is not a reasonable assumption at all, but I kind of would like that to be the case. I mean, if I see him again at the same spot doing the same moves, I'm gonna conclude we really do live in a simulation. But yeah, okay, here we're coming up to where I turned away from being near to the water because I was like, I smell Boost Mobile nearby. Actually, the silly thing is that I was closer to it before, much closer to it, and I just messed up by not checking the map well enough ahead of time / not remembering where it was from when I did check it before. I'm always like, quote unquote, failing to check the map because a lot of times it's really just an excuse to get a little lost and do a little more walking or exploring than I otherwise might. I guess at some point I have to go over these bridges again on foot. As scary as it is, I'm scared of it. But I'm just gonna have to force myself to do it. Work through it, I've done it. I've done it already. Sidewalk closed. Well, that sucks, really? Oh, okay, there's a pedestrian sign over there. Glad I didn't give up too quickly. That's kind of not a helpful sign because it makes you think that there's no way through. But there is. There totally is. I'm jogging so slow today that I haven't even worked up any kind of a sweat at all at any point. Although mostly I've been walking. But the little jogging that I've done has just been so wild. Dang, wow, that's impressive. 38 times for one pair of tights. Sheer pecs, if true. It's pretty impressive. Just out on a bus. You know, cheap tights will get runs oftentimes after even just one time wearing them. As you know, if you're a woman or have dated a woman, I wish I could go on the other side and be over by the river, but I just can't. There's construction all the way over there. As you can see, there's nothing. Nowhere to run over there. So we're staying on this side for now and keeping a watchful eye for opportunities to cross over. sidewalk closed. This is what I tell you in response to that is boo. Welcome to Baruch houses. Yeah, I walked here not that long ago, a couple years ago. That was the last time. So many projects in Manhattan. Just all of them so depressing. It's a feature of this ugly, drab buildings. Through blasted heaths. Just trash littered, balding little patches of dry and dying grass. Well, when you live at these kinds of projects, you have so little ownership over your space. Like, I don't think you're allowed to make modifications. You're limited to what you can do in the hallways and stairways. You're just not going to feel ownership over the space. So you're not going to want to do the work of upkeep. I wouldn't. If the residents are even allowed to do upkeep on the lawns on their own.
Those buildings, like a 4-foot walk up. Oh my god,
Okay, I think this is where I came over actually. So we're closing the loop on the east and south side. I'm just, because that was East 6th Street. That's right around where Tompkins Square Park would be. So I'm just gonna go north a bit, just a bit more, to get to kind of where I need to take the subway anyway, or the path back to Hoboken. And then I'm gonna head back as the sun is setting. And it's time to call it a day. Oh, look at that. Well, okay, let's do a lap at least. We'll just do one lap around this track. It's so nice to run on a track because, yeah, it just feels easy on the feet, very comfortable, pleasant way to run.
you know what he told me? He was like, oh, I have so many real estates in Florida. He was like, I have so... He was like, I have so many real estate in Florida.
So Chicago has tons of fields like this, although a lot of them are smaller. But then around the fields is something much better, which is like stone and concrete panel mid-rises with balconies, lots of glass, and also, well, here there are trees too, to be fair. It's just not the season to see them. Let's stick with the Rail Runner for a bit. So that's what somebody who's running at a more respectable pace looks like. Look at how easy and comfortable she's making that look. I don't think I could have kept up with her for even one whole lap. Impressive. It was just a question of, did she decide at some point that she wanted to drop me now? And if she did decide that at any point, it would have been very easy for her to do so. She was already doing it gradually, just by keeping up her pace. She might have increased the pace ever so slightly at the end as she started to get annoyed of having me behind her. I think that's a sub-7 pace, if I'm not mistaken. Just from my experience, I have run a couple of miles. You know, I can do a couple of miles at sub-7. Actually, I guess I've run more or less most of a 5K at sub-7, just under sub-7. Although that was over a year ago. I'm off that pace right now. Wow. Fun. Good to be reminded of how much more I can improve, and then still be in a place where I still have so much more that I can do to improve. So that's exciting. Because the crazy thing is, even with the pace that she's running, that's still literally like over 2 minutes a mile slower than Kipchoge's marathon pace. The idea that Usain Bolt is the fastest man on the planet or whatever, the 100-meter sprinter, is ridiculous. It's a marathon runner. Because Usain Bolt would beat Kipchoge over 100, 200, 400, maybe 800. But anything beyond that, Kipchoge would just destroy Usain Bolt or any other sprinter. And life is not a sprint. Kipchoge is the fastest man alive, or whoever the marathon record holder is. He still is for the time being, I think. All right, I think it's a good place to stop. Or is it? No, it isn't. Why would I stop filming when I can just keep filming? I'm not out of battery. I'm out of running battery. I'm not running anymore. First of all, because that winded me. But secondly, because now I just, okay, I want to protect my foot. It's not been feeling great. But I think one nice thing is that it really looks like it's really feeling like my plan of doing 2 hours a week of content is sustainable. I think even alongside my other commitments, I'm going to be able to do that, and that's going to be my goal for 2024, is to just do like 100. Why round down? I'll do 104 hours of content. 52 weeks, not 50 weeks. So there's nothing special about numbers that have zeros at the end of them. There's no need to revere zeros. 104 is the number of hours of content that I will upload. 104 or more, but I'm not gonna really try hard to exceed the goal. I don't wanna establish a baseline that I'm going to be anxious about repeating in following years. I'd rather just, do my 104, maybe 108, whatever, we'll see, and then just go from there. Like, okay, maybe in a couple of years I'll get to a point where I'm like, you know what, 110 or even 120 feels like it's going to be sustainable for me. Because again, this whole project is a marathon for me too. I'm in my mid-40s, early mid-40s, turning 44 this year. So hopefully, I have a fair chance of being able to continue doing this channel for about 20 years. Beyond that, it's getting to be a little bit more like, will my luck hold? Of course, still making it to my mid-60s is not a given by any means, but I have reasonable chances. So if I can do that, then I will have been able to create 2,080 hours of content, of exploration content, and I think that's nice. I will feel like I've contributed something that I find meaningful to the world, even if I don't manage to accomplish anything else. Of course, I hope that I will be able to accomplish some other things as well. And I will continue trying to do so. That's all we can do, man. Just keep trying. And keep crossing the road when you see a serious looking dog like that. Yeah, so actually you remember now. This is the roundabout where I came out onto, that I used to come out onto the river. So actually it was a little bit, I guess, further. I'm glad I went as far as I did, because otherwise I would have undershot by just a couple of blocks and I would have been silly. That's funny. I thought Tompkins Square Park was lower than that, but maybe I ended up going north a couple blocks when I was here. Anyway, when I was over here, I was talking about how this ain't Stockholm, that's for sure. And it ain't, because that was just very early January. It was right after, less than 2 weeks after I'd come back from my trip to Sweden, Stockholm. And the impressions were really fresh in my mind. I have videos from that trip up on the channel too. There's a whole series of like 8 videos. It's not that much, but maybe 4 to 6 hours of content, something like that. So check that out if you're curious to see what Stockholm looked like in the December 2023 and some surrounding towns. A couple car rides in the footage too. And we visited a Milles garden, which is a sculpture garden. It used to be the residence of Swedish sculptor, long dead, but Swedish sculptor Carl Milles, and his wife, who was also an artist, who was a painter, I believe, primarily. The Dry Dock Playground. What a poetic name. Stay cool in the pool. I just remembered Holger Tsuke. Forget his last name, but Holger something. I think Tsuke is just close to what his last name is. Who had that song, Cool in the Pool? It was like a Hungarian, I think. Multi-instrumentalist and vocalist, composer, performer, everything. Musician. All around her. One of my exes turned me on to him, and for that I'm grateful to her, because he's great. He died not so long ago, so RIP, in the last like 5 years. Yeah. Yeah, so we're in Alphabet City. Here's Avenue C, looking down from 10th Street, looking up from 10th Street. Oh, that's a beautiful night sky. Look at that, twilight sky. Alphabet City is probably one of my favorite. If I lived in Manhattan and I wasn't living next to the Marshall Chess Club, This will probably be one of the